Abby J, your life coach, and today we are talking about what to do when high school is not going according to plan. Okay, this could be that it's not going according to plan with your grades or not going according to plan with like your social standing and your friends and your boyfriend or like whatever's going on there, right? This is like your SOS, help me, high school is not what I thought I would be, and I'm freaking out. This video is for you if you had those feelings. So let's talk about what to do when high school is not going according to plan for you. I've got some tips that are really going to help you out in any situation when you find yourself in those, oh crap, what am I supposed to be doing with my life right now? So let's talk about it. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do when your high school experience is not going to plan, right? It's not the way that you want it to be, is number one, you need to actually sit down, pen and paper, and write out what it is that is not going to plan, right? Because so many of us, we all get frustrated in high school. Like, I'm just gonna let you know that right now. And to me, this video is more than just like, oh, I'm frustrated with what happened today at high school, to being like, crap, if I don't get my act together, I'm not gonna get the GPA that I need to go to college, or I'm really wrecking my reputation with my friends. Like, this is a little bit more of a crisis mode. So that's why this first tip, you've gotta sit down and think, okay, what is it that's like gone off the deep end? And I know that sounds really easy on its surface level, but I need you to sit down and say more than just like, oh, everything, right? Or all my grades. And actually sit down and say, okay, English, like first period, English. Am I doing okay in that class? Yes, or no, I've got this midterm that I'm freaking out about and I'm not ready for it, So I want you to break down like period by period, person by person in your social group, like events that have happened leading up to why you feel that like high school is not going to plan anymore, because that is going to be our roadmap for how we tackle the situation moving forward. So if you don't do this step, then I can't help you with the rest of the tips. So pause this video and write out exactly what is not going according to plan with your high school plan and vision for yourself. Okay, now that you have a list of exactly what it is that's not going to plan, so whether that's, I'm failing in math and English and I have not showed up to my pottery class one time this semester, like those are my issues, or I've said some things that weren't true about this friend and it got back to him, like you've identified what is going wrong, right? And now step number 2 is to identify all of your options. It might seem, especially when we are in the middle of like a crisis or we feel like, man, life is not going according to plan, that we don't have a lot of options and that we are just the victim to our circumstances. No. We always have choice. We always have options. So I want you to actually sit down now that you've got that list of what's not going to plan and write out next to each one something like 2 to 3 different solutions. And some of them are going to be ridiculous. Some of them actually aren't possible for you, but don't do that right now. Like, don't stop your brain at this process. I want you to stop and think through like, okay, pottery class that you haven't shown up to, right? Option 1 is that you go and beg for your teacher's forgiveness and see if they'll help you like with some extra credit work, right? So that's option 1. Excuse me. Option 2 would be to, take it again, right? Like, these are options that probably, like, not every one of them you're going to want to do, but some of them, as you let your brain think through, are actually going to pose some really great solutions, right? Or even a third option could be like, can I go in, talk to my teacher, do some extra credit, and then know that the best grade that I can receive is a C, or that I might have to come in and one time, like, you could donate blood at my school and like get a better citizenship grade. So, there are so many things that you could do. So take this time, pause this video again, and just let your brain go crazy with each of the things that aren't going to plan and come up with 2 to 3 possible solutions. And just do not like discredit any of them. Write anything down that comes to your mind. Or one time I heard that a teacher let a student do this, so maybe I can do that same thing. Or maybe with my friend or my boyfriend, I could rent them a treat and they'd forgive me. Maybe I could go, talk to them in person. Maybe I could go write them a really nice text or call them on the phone, or maybe I get all my friends together and tell them like, this is what's going on and this is how I want to fix it. Possibilities are endless. So take some time to do that right now. Okay, tip number 3, stay with me on this one because this one is so vitally important, and yet it's something we forget every single time. Like teens, adults, we forget this step all the time, especially when we want to make life change, especially when we want to correct, high school that's not going to plan. And it's this, that you need to, in step 3, take a look at your bandwidth for change. What in the world does that even mean? Okay, so when it comes especially to high school and changing things like your grade or changing things like, man, I'm not as popular or well received as I'd like to be, so I'd like to work on that, we all have a bandwidth for change. And what I think a bandwidth for change is not only your energy and attention that you can devote towards this change, but the physical amount of time. I am a firm believer that poor teenagers out there, you have like no time. I believe there's one of two parties. You either have like no time because you have extracurriculars and you're doing all the things, right, and all the schoolwork and you're trying so hard, or you've got tons and tons and tons of time, right, that you just fill up with like free space. And so depending on where you are in the spectrum, you need to evaluate how much time can I actually give to doing extra credit packets, or is it actually realistic for me to come in early every single day? Is it actually realistic for me to start hanging out with my friends more often to improve those relationships? You need to look at your bandwidth for change because that's going to help you start to identify some of these solutions that aren't possible. One example I love to give, because I hear this a lot, are kids that, hear me speak and they're like, I am going to raise my GPA, and they're seniors in high school and they've got like one term left of school before they graduate. And that's something where, yes, you can make a little bit of change, but you're so far down that path that you literally don't have the bandwidth or opportunity to raise your GPA like 2 full numbers, right? Or grades or anything like that. You have to look at what's realistic for you, because sometimes what's realistic is, bumping your whole grade up a whole letter or totally getting a whole new group of friends. And sometimes it's just a matter of, you know what, I don't have that kind of time or that kind of opportunity. So what can I do with the time and the opportunity and energy that I do have? So take a look at what some of your solutions are. Can I talk today? What some of your solutions are, and figure out what of those solutions are going to cost you the most in energy, time, and effort. This doesn't mean that they're not worth it, but it also means that you're taking a realistic look at what is actually possible for you to change in this period of time while you're in high school. Okay, so my 4th tip for getting your life back on track when it comes to high school and getting, your high school plan back, right? This vision that we have for ourselves when we start high school, right? And that is this, to focus on one thing at a time. Now, from experience of high school myself, and also like talking to a lot of teens and coaching them through these things, there's so many things that they identify as things that are going wrong, right? And maybe as you've gone through these other 3 steps to this point, you've realized, oh, actually, like, I'm okay with where my grades are, or you know what, this relationship really isn't that important to me, right? So we've kind of sorted through. But the temptation is to focus on everything at once, that we're going to improve our grades and we're going to start going to school dances and we're going to improve our citizenship and we're just going to be Mr. Popular, like we're gonna just do it all, and we're gonna do it all in a week, right? I'm here to tell you, as your life coach, that it is better to focus with intensity and energy and drive on one item that you want to fix before you go and try to fix everything. So I want you to look at that list and see what's most important. And it might be tempting to think it's, something to do with your social status, right? But I would have you look at the long-term consequences of the things on your list. So is it, if you don't pull up your grades, then you're not going to get a scholarship into college, right? And that might limit where you can go to college. I would say that's a huge priority, right? So take a look at that list and say, where can I start today? And this really plays into the last tip that you just did, because anything that takes a long period of time, like maybe raising your GPA, that should be started on first, right? And once you get that, okay, now I'm doing better in school and I'm getting my grades back up, I'm feeling so good and sustainable at this level of energy and attention to my grades, then you go back to that list and you say, okay, Now I'm going to try to repair my relationship with my best friend, right? Or try to increase it so it's even better. Or I'm gonna try to increase my dating life and go to more dances. So focus on one area at a time. And it's tempting. Oh, it is so tempting to try to tackle them all at the same time. But I'm telling you, it will not work. So focus on one area at a time. And my last tip for you, tip number 5, when high school is not going to plan, is to focus on lasting impact. So high school, I remember thinking in elementary and junior high, oh, this doesn't count, right? It only counts when we get to high school. And part of that's kind of true, right? Your GPA starts to count. Some of these relationships actually really matter. I married my husband and I met him in high school. Of course I married my husband. But I met my husband in high school. And because of that relationship, and we didn't even date, but we knew each other, we had a great friendship, it led to us getting married. So I'm not pretending that oh, these relationships don't matter or whatever you want to do doesn't matter in high school. I'm here to tell you that as you try to get your high school plan back on track and get your life where you want it and your high school experience to what you want it to be, to focus on lasting impact. Because maybe that helps you realize that it's not as important as you thought to be part of Pep Club or to be part of, all these different clubs and communities. Or maybe that helps you realize that I want to focus all of my attention on this area of my life. I still think that you can have an incredible time in high school while thinking about the long-term impact of, is this going to help me in college? Is this going to help me? Are these relationships actually people that I care about enough to see after high school, right? Have I treated people in such a way that if I was to bump into an old friend, would it be awkward or would I be ashamed of who I was in high school, right? So sometimes we feel so overwhelmed because our vision of who we are and want to be in high school isn't what it could be. And I think all of us fall short of what we glamorize high school to be and who we're gonna be. So I hope that you can focus on your impact and the person that you're gonna be out of high school. Because one day it's gonna end. I know it sounds so weird. One day you're gonna look back like me and be like, oh my gosh, I was in high school 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. It's so weird. So focus on the lasting impact and you will never, ever regret anything that you've done when you feel like you focused on the person that you want to be out of high school. Okay, my friends, those are my top tips for, what to do when your high school is not going to plan, right? Your high school experience. And so I want you to know that these tips will help you in any situation, right? Your grades, social situations, just trying to better yourself in high school. And so I hope that you will give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. I do so many videos on personal development and helping young women experience more joy in their lives, whether that's through mastering high school or figuring out their dating life or even finances, right? So please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so you don't miss a video from me. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Please, in the meantime, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're going through at school and I will so gladly coach you through that. And if you don't want to leave a public comment, you can DM me on my Instagram, which is Abby Winslow. So talk to you then and I will see you in my next video. Abby J out.